I've been working on Sandra's case for about 2.5 years now. And I'm so glad to be here to, do a deep dive with you guys about her case.
Good. Before we get into some of the details, let me lay out just some of the background for those who may either have not been caught up on this case or are kind of, a little vague on them. This is a federal case. Matthew Farwell, the officer who has now been charged with her death, they began a relationship back in 2013, I believe it was, when she became an explorer with the police department. And they had a relationship up until 2021, according to the indictment. During that time, she turned 16, and it was then that they allege he began having sexual relations with her, and that continued up through the time of her death. She was pregnant at the time, and she was found hanging from some piece of material from a doorknob in her apartment. I'd like to let's look at this video now as part of the setup for this, Mizzy. We have I actually was out there, I guess it was yesterday, but we also have from the investigation the very important video of the inside of that building. Yep. Let's see if we have that.
By the way, when I was telling our well, you're going to play this now. So
no, go ahead. I want to actually look for something else. You go ahead and chat.
Yeah, that's not good. When I was telling yesterday, when you left, after you had been, in my words, intimidated or clearly threatened from walking on that sidewalk for the 6th time, I didn't want to let people know where you were going. So that's where you were going. You were actually going to go videotape at the Sandra Birchmore location. I think we confirmed that location with you, Mizzy B, before we went, just to make sure that everything that's reported in the media, everything that was in the Canton audit, even though it had her address in the Canton audit, was accurate. Michael Bryan was heading there, and we didn't want to have any problems with Michael heading there, especially since apparently they had been watching him. So,
yeah, and so I went and I carved together some of this video, which of course I'm now not finding as easily as I'd like. But I think it was important for people to get a sense of, and maybe I'll just run some of the raw for you, a video that gives you a sense of the location, the surroundings. Mizzy, do you know how long she had lived in this apartment complex?
Only 2 months.
Just
she
2
moved
months.
in early December.
Wow.
And Matthew helped her move into that apartment.
And Matthew, again, the officer now charged with her death.
And I think the person who runs the building say he actually helped her move in? If I
believe it was the maintenance man.
The maintenance man, yes, actually said that, right. So there was confirmation about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this is, as I was driving to that location, it is right on the border with Stoughton. In fact, from the driveway, you can actually see the sign, the welcome to Stoughton sign. Let me see. So how or why did you get involved, as I'm looking for some of this video?
I saw it on the news when the Stoughton police report, the internal report came out, and I was enraged. I'm a small content creator, and I interview families of loved ones who have been murdered to help them get their story out. And then I kind of stick around and help them a little bit behind the scenes, send emails for them. Sometimes families just don't know what to do. So I just do those little things to help them. And I was working on 2 other cases, so I wasn't able to jump into Sandra's case, but I kept checking in on it. And then this was in September of 2022. And then in early 2023, my friend, who was the first case I worked on, she messaged me and she's like, "What's up with that Sandra Birchmore case?" And I was shocked because nobody even around here knew about it. Like, it was a blip. It was in the news for like 2 days and then it went away. So she said, "You know what, let's look into this case." So her and I started doing a deep dive for a couple weeks. And she said, "I got to get back to my son Brandon's case. Can you make a Facebook page for her?" She said, I'll do a petition if you'll do a Facebook page. And I knew it took a second to pause, because I knew if I took on the Facebook page, I was going to have to fully jump into her case, and a mixed girl in a mixed up world was going to have to be put on the back burner. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. And from that day on, I jumped in with both feet and made the Facebook page and just started trying to gather as much information as we could to put out. Her cousin Barb is the other admin, and her.
Could you say that again? I missed that. Her cousin?
Barb.
Okay.
Barbara Wright, but she goes by Barb. Her and I worked together for the last 2.5 years to, get Sandra's case out there, to keep bringing light to her case, put the public eye on her case. And it was kind of easy in some ways because of the Karen Reed case. I was kind of, as Karen's case got bigger and bigger, I was able to, because I'm a Karen Reed supporter also. And I was able to kind of, as they got bigger, I was able to get a little bigger too. And the Free Karen Reed movement was very receptive to hearing, oh, there's another case in Canton, and it has a lot of the same players like Michael Lang, Kevin Albert, Fanning, so they were like, wait a minute, Michael Morrissey, especially, they were like, wait a minute, this, and I was like, yeah, this case is just as crazy as Karen's case.
And so many
more,
people,
more disturbing, even more disturbing.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. And so many folks that I've talked to, and the vibe we get is very clear that Karen Reed, yes, problem, bigger disease, Sandra Birchmore case, part of that whole cancer, whatever it is that is rotten in that part of the world. Before we get into to the video, which I found, I'm very excited for. Let's remind folks who have maybe not seen her picture in a while, or a lovely young lady. She was 23 years old at the time of her death. It was on February 1st, 2021. So it predated Karen Reed case by a full year.
Yeah, it was almost exactly a year to the date of John's. I mean, John's was the 29th, hers was the 1st. And the similarities to their case, like, the weather played a big part in their investigations. Because of the weather, Sandra was delayed being found. The night of her murder, there was a huge snowstorm, just like John's case, and she wasn't found for 3 days.
It also helped in some way because I believe when the feds got involved, the fact that when they looked at everything, they knew that her car had not been moved since February 1st, which was the night of a snowstorm, right? And that her car was in the parking lot. She wasn't found on February 4th, 2021. It was in the parking lot. The snow had not been cleaned off. So they knew, that's one of the things you look for. They knew that she hadn't been out and driving in that car from the time she had been seen early the day on February 1st, where she did go out shopping. And she was found in the same clothes that she was seen in the video on February 1st that she was found on February 4th. So I think the weather actually helped at that point identify that indeed narrowed down the time frame of her death.
Yeah, that's one of the few things that I agree with what the Canton police did. They did notate that they were the ones who figured out that they went out to her car to see if her car had been moved. So there are some things that Canton police did good in this case, but there's a lot of things that they didn't do well.
Now, who are we looking at right now?
This is her as a youngster when she was with the Explorer program. She was 12.
Yep.
And
the one who circled, that's Robert Devine. He was the leader of the Explorers group, and he was the former deputy chief of police. And the other gentleman in the police is Shastaney. He was the former chief of police.
Yeah, and I know that Mr. Devine is now a lawyer, I believe, in Maryland, and he has threatened to sue people that defame him in regard to this. But there have been some very serious press conferences by other people that have accused him of a lot of different things, not sleeping with it's raping. I mean, she was young when she was having sex, and that's how. To jump the gun, the story the feds have indicted Farwell. They don't have actually a murder statute for this, but they were indicted. It's a civil rights violation for killing her because she is a witness to an investigation involving an investigation into having sex with underage minors, of what she was in the Police Explorers program, right?
Brutal.
It's just horrible grooming from. I think she was what, 12 or 13
She was
years
12.
old.
Yeah,
12?
she was 12. And according to the indictment, it wasn't until she was 16 that she had sex
15.
with the defendant. It was 15?
15, yeah, because 16 is...
16 is legal in Mass, right?
Yeah, 16,
yeah.
Which is insane. It's like he groomed her for what, 3 years,
3
Yeah.
years.
and he couldn't wait. Like he would have been
Yeah.
scot free, you know.
And we'll get into this in some detail with, then she got pregnant and who was the father and all that. But now that I've found my video,
Let's go. Let's do it
let's
like
see
we
if I can
planned.
actually run the darn thing here. Again, this is the area in which she lived. You said for just 2 months. I find that.
Yeah, she moved in December 1st in 2020, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And she lived most of her life in Canton. I mean, sorry, in Stoughton. She grew up in Stoughton her whole life in different apartments and in her family home. So
Wow.
she was a Stoughton girl, through and through.
Well, I'm
Michael, while
delaying.
you're loading that up, let's go to
Yeah.
making a count. Is there a pattern of when the perpetrators quote strike? Seems that winter and harsher conditions is something that something the officers want. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, to making a count. Let's do some research. Get back to us. We'll be interested to know.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what it is, but like I just think with these two cases, they just happened to happen on 2 nights where, one was a blizzard, one was a nor'easter, and it helped cover up the crime for a little while, or
Right.
like in John's case, it helped them be able to, not find to plant the tail light and the recovery of the tail light. So, and then, like I said, in Sandra's case, it took 3 days for them for her work to call in a wellness check.
Right. To say that they're trying to reach her, and she always was at work. I mean, and she expressed happiness about having this baby. I believe there was somebody at work who actually had called the police department, right, and said something to the effect that one of your officers is having sex with this, which may have actually caused her death, because it looked like she was letting the word out. She was happy that he was the father and she was going to have a child.
Yeah, she was so excited. That's all she wanted, was to be a mom. Sandra had a lot of loss in her life. When she started the program, her grandfather, Jerry, had just passed away. And then, her mother and grandmother both died in 2016, about a month apart.
Oh.
And then in 2019, one of her aunts died. And so she didn't have a lot of, she didn't have any more immediate family, except her aunt, Darlene. And then everybody else was cousins but so
and her aunt is now the plaintiff, the representative plaintiff for the estate in the suit, right? We were looking for the complaint. We didn't find it because we have so much to talk about. Michael, have you found our video?
No, I'm still surfing around. Let's talk about the pregnancy period, because it seemed there was this odd change of heart. Maybe it was just an act where Farwell was first not so happy about it, and then had this weird change within about 2 weeks of her death, where he seemed to embrace her pregnancy, despite the fact that he had 3 kids and a 4th on the way. That was actually, I think,
the third one was on the way.
The third was on the way, and
third was on the way.
And wasn't that child born on the night that
the day after
she was killed?
The day after she was killed, right?
Yeah, talk about that weird period.
Let me say this first so I don't forget. He used the birth of his child as an alibi, kind of, because he went right from there to the hospital. So he said, yeah, I stopped in for a little bit, but then I left and went to the hospital. Sandra, I think Sandra, she was getting older. She knew what she wanted. And I think she finally felt like she had the upper hand. And she was angry when she found out his wife was pregnant again. And she kind of said, hey, listen, I want a kid. And if you don't give me a kid, I'm going to start talking. Yeah. And I think it's kind of like she turned everything on its head, because, he had the power throughout their whole relationship. And now she had the power dynamic, and he did not like that. And so he gave her what she wanted, even though he did not want to. And what you had said before, about 2 weeks before her murder, she was starting to tell people about what had happened. We started hooking up when I was 15, telling some of her friends, and she owed a friend of hers money, and she wasn't paying it back. And her friend got angry. So the friend called the Stoughton Police Department. And Sandra, like I said, she was avoiding her. And the officer who answered the phone said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, that's a civil issue. We can't do anything about that for you." And she said, "Well, you know what? You tell Matthew Farwell that his girlfriend needs to pay me back my money." And
that's all of a sudden he realized that she was telling people
yes,
that he was in a relationship with her. He's got a baby on the way. And then I know this is going to get bigger. So Michael, why are you looking for that? Why don't we actually start?
I found
it.
it.
I was going to say, so let's start it to the reverse on the suicide determination. Then we can go backwards. Okay.
Okay. You want to look at this first? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Now that I found it. Okay. Yeah. This was not really an attempt to create the worst drawn out tease ever. I could not find it. So now that I have, I will narrate. Here we go. So obviously big apartment complex. This is, again, if you look just past this sign, just behind where this sign is, you're in Stoughton. It's that close. Yep. So this is obviously, she might have been one of the first tenants there, right? In that, because it looks like such a new complex.
No, it had actually been there for a little while. I had spoken to a tenant who moved out just before she got there.
Okay. So here you have these really three separate buildings, right? That each one is a separate and distinct apartment building. I'm actually driving out at this point. So when we turn around, this is the third one in, which is the one she was in, according to your note to me, right?
Yep.
This is the third building in, again, nice looking building. So there's the door heading into the lobby area, which I, of course, didn't have a key for or code for and wasn't going to look into. But what I did, you see, that's the ante room, the foyer there. Just past it through that door is this space right here. Yep. And so this is Sandra Birchmore. You were talking about the weather, right? You can see when she comes and goes in this little clip, she has like this scraper. It's a mega scraper. I've never seen one so big, but apparently she was using it perhaps to clean her car, or she went and got the mail. And look at the timestamp on this. It's a little tiny to read here, but this is at looks like 5:15, right?
Yeah.
I'll stop it. Yeah, go ahead.
The clock is 14 minutes fast.
Okay, that's good to know. I was looking at the difference in the time rather than the specific time, but that's good to know. You can easily do the math. So then she comes back out, and this is with that time adjustment you mentioned, this will be right at 5:30.
Yep.
Okay. So it's hard to tell what the weather's like at that particular point from this shot, but when she comes back in, which she does about, looks like 2 minutes later, she's got that scraper.
And this is the last time she's seen on scene.
That's the last time she's seen alive. Was she on her phone there?
Yes.
Can you just stop it for a second?
Yep, I will back that up. Let's back it up.
And I'm going to ask you, do we know who she was? If you back it up, and
I don't know that. I do know she talked to her aunt.
And that's the same.
Yeah, she just pulled out the phone as she goes into the elevator. She pulls out the phone.
She pulled it. Looks like she's calling. Looks like she's calling somebody, not answering.
Yeah, I know she talked to her aunt, I believe, around 5:30. So that would work. That would.
Okay.
That'd be perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
So that's 5:30. Okay, go ahead.
You want to back it up just a little more too,
sure,
just so you can see something.
Yeah.
So you can see the difference. She's a peanut. She's only 4'10".
She's 4'10". She's the size of Dolly Parton. She's Dolly Parton's height.
Yeah. So she's a tiny girl.
Yeah. Look at her in the door right there.
Yeah. And then like when she walks up, she's like, look how like that hand sanitizer thing. Look how where she comes up to.
Right. Yeah.
She's tiny, and he's 6'4".
Well, here's the man.
Now we join these videos just so everybody knows.
This is the one that was handed out by the cops. I did not do any of these edits. So this is roughly 9 with the adjustment you mentioned. I think it would make it about
9:14, I believe it
14, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay, so incoming.
Now he's got this big guy. You want to stop it right there?
Yep.
Look at how big he is. He's got a mask on. He's got a COVID mask on, so you can't see his face. His hood is over him, so he knows his camera's there.
Yes.
And he's kind of turned his head to the, he's positioned himself so you really can't see his face really well. For those,
and obviously he knows the code, because he got in from the outside.
Yes, he had the code. He
had or fob or whatever they use.
Yeah. He I think she was going to give him a key, but he knew the code that was one of the things that how you mentioned, oh, he was being nice to her. He asked for a key.
Right.
He asked for the code. He was asking, is this a general code or is this your specific personal code? So he was like kind of, trying to figure things out.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, all of that goes to premeditation, when they get to that part of the process. It wasn't a crime of passion. This guy planned this thing out.
Yes. And I don't know if you noticed when he first walked in, because like I said, he's a big guy, but he walks in, he's hunched like this.
He is a little. I'd ask people to look for the same thing I was looking for when we see him leave. See what kind of characteristics does he walk differently? Does he, because if he did what he's accused of having been done in the time period he was there, and I think it was about 20 minutes, 28 minutes. Does that sound right, Mizzy? 28 minutes. I mean, imagine, what he has gone through. Again, assuming he's the man that has been accused of doing these things.
Okay, I think he's trying to show that, kind of disguise his height a little. He's hunched over a little, head down.
But he does wipe his feet on the carpet before he goes into the elevator. So, Okay, so here we are. He comes out, right?
Watch the difference.
This is 28,
roughly 28 minutes later. And with the adjustment, that would make it, looks like about a quarter to maybe 20 till 10.
Yeah.
With the adjustment, 20 till 10.
He's still wearing the COVID mask.
And he looks more upright to me.
Yes, he is.
As a matter of fact, if you go back in, you can tell by when he teaches the height of the glass on the doors. But he looks like he's really rushing out there. Let's look him come back in and then look out there, because he's moving. He's booking when he's coming out.
Okay, let's have him. Here he comes in.
Sandra's. God bless her.
Yeah, horrible.
The difference in how he comes in and
he just
out.
uses the fob or whatever the thing is to get into there.
And he's just kind of slowly moving, hands in his pocket, wipes his feet. He doesn't close this door, I see. But now he's out. And now watch. He's really tall. He's hitting above the glass right there, and he's booking out.
Yeah, no need to hang around.
No need to close those doors, not even the one with the inclement weather. Just let me get out of here.
Yeah, so horrible story. So where are they now? What's happening now? Because this thing has been kind of under the radar. I know in part because it's a federal case and things tend to be kind of handled a little more, I should say, less public.
Before you go there, let me just tell you, thank you, Sherry D. Gifted one Justice Served TV membership so somebody can get on and watch and rewatch Missy B, who's been following this case and is helping us all here tonight. And we thank her for obviously her time. So we have a lot more to discuss here as we go along. So,
yeah, the federal case is slowly moving through the court. On February 10th, they had a hearing. Finally, he was arrested August 28th, and they finally had their first in-person hearing. They delayed it a bunch of times. I think it was delayed 3 times, and they said at that hearing that they were gonna. The judge wanted both parties to come in with a realistic date to have the trial.
Hey, just to clarify the dates, because there was this period of time, a long period of time, that it was declared a suicide, and we've talked about, and we'll share again that the ME still says it was suicide.
And we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, we are
right now.
So I want to get the dates locked down here. So she dies on the 1st of February 2021. Was it August of that year that he's arrested, or was it a full year after that?
No, that he just was arrested last August.
That's what I wanted to reinforce, that's because of this suicide determination. That
August 2024 is when he was arrested.
3.5 years.
She is killed February 1st. It's been determined in 2021.
Yeah.
That is.
Thanks to Dr. Michael Bodden.
So why don't we talk about that suicide thing? Because let's look at the death certificate.
We couldn't find
a good one, and quite frankly, if one of the members of the family could give us one, that would be great. As everyone knows, I don't go to my husband. It's his case. He wouldn't talk to me about it anyhow. But this is Michael's gonna.
I'm gonna try and find a spot where you can actually read something. It's just such a mess.
Yeah, I could keep saying void.
You can see the address there, which is where the video was just there. Lists her occupation as a substitute teacher, right?
Right. Never married.
Never married. And then I see a pending. Let me back off to see what that is. Cause of death is listed as pending on this document.
Yeah, this is the pending one. We don't have the one, but she with that because she had this for a while. How long did the medical examiner have this before she said it was a suicide? Do you remember, Mizzy?
I'm not 100% sure because I came on after, but
Okay.
it was a while. It did take a little while to get that determination.
Right. Now we understand that despite the fact that you have the federal investigation, despite the fact that Mr. Farwell has been indicted for as equivalent as you can for a murder in the federal system, despite my husband finding this was an autopsy, was a homicide, I'm not saying who, because again, they don't do that, despite the fact that the feds had their own doctor independently, not wanting to rely on somebody who had a civil suit, medical examiner, come back that this was a homicide. Again, they don't say who does it. They just say it is. There was a huge article in the Boston Globe this week, and I wanted to screenshot it for you because I want to call out the great work of the reporter. Do we have that, Michael?
I do have that. I want to make sure that we're all done with this.
Yeah, I think we're all done with that because that's the
Because
pending
it doesn't
one.
really, again, it was pending for a long time.
Yeah, and Mizzy, obviously, if you could get a member of the family to give us a copy of the death certificate, we would greatly appreciate it. So when we do our follow-up show, which we plan to do, and it may be as early as half a show tomorrow because we have so much on this. The medical examiner has indicated that they will not change the cause of death. So there you see. And Laura Grimaldi is the reporter from the Boston Globe. She's been on all of these stories. I would suggest to you, if you, all of you who are watching, Google. She's got a great one, a chapter 1. I just pulled out chapter 2, Secrets and Lies. Investigators assume Sandra Birchmore took her own life. What did they miss? She's done the report on the Stoughton police chief, who said that the 3 people involved, the 3 officers involved, were unfit to serve, including one of them that you saw that wasn't Farwell in that report. She has just done person's work, great reporting work. She really should win an award for her work on this. And I wanted to call out, we're hoping to get her on. I know we said something to her. She hasn't responded, but we'd love to get her on to talk about her investigation. Her name, again, you'll see it right there, Laura Grimaldi. She is from the Boston Globe, the same Globe that does all the spotlight work. And she just really just Google her articles. We don't need to repeat them at great length for you right now. But when Michael and I were discussing this, I said I want to call her out for a good thing. Now,
yeah, Laura Grimaldi is amazing. She we're in contact with her. She's come to some of our standouts, and we did a 4-year anniversary for Sandra on February 1st, because it was technically the first year we could say that she was actually, her death was the first, because it's listed as the 4th. And she's the only reporter we invited to come join us, because we felt like she's been such a part of getting Sandra's case out there and keeping Sandra's case out there. So we, the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group, totally appreciate everything Laura has done.
Now, before I go into my beef with the medical examiner in Boston, we did here at Justice Serve TV invite the Boston medical examiner to come on our show through our producers, and we did get a reply. Why don't we show that, and we will read them both onto the show, and we'll get your immediate reaction, Mizzy, and then we're going to show you some other things that you may not know, okay? This is from Justice Serve TV, Gmail, and these are to both the medical examiner, and they have a press office, right? And from our co-producers here, and on our behalf, this was approved. To whom it may concern, I hope this email finds you well. We are reaching out on behalf of Justice Serve TV, hosted by Michael Bryan and Linda Kenny Bodden, regarding our upcoming segments, because there's going to be more, on the Sandra Birchmore case. This evening, we will be recording 2 exclusive shows covering the investigation into the Canton police audit related to this matter. And part of this show will be the Canton audit. We kindly request the participation of a representative from the Office of Chief Medical Examiner, preferably the first-day physician who conducted the autopsy. If she is unavailable, we would appreciate the opportunity to interview the chief medical examiner to discuss the decision regarding the classification of Miss Birchmore's manner of death. Our show will be airing from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., and we would be happy to accommodate an interview at any time within this window. If another date is more convenient, we are open to arranging a suitable time that works for your office. We appreciate your time and consideration and look forward to your response. Best regards, our co-producer. And then we did get a response.
Yeah, and they're coming on.
Elaine.
It's great.
Yeah.
They agreed to come on. Oh, wait a minute.
No, you got the wrong. You must have the wrong email, my love. Elaine Driscoll to us. Okay, carbon copy the other person. Hello. Okay. Thank you for your inquiry. Given the ongoing investigation and pending court procedures, we respectfully decline to comment at this time. Best, Elaine. Now, remind you, this case, according to them, is closed. They said, well, they'll consider any future information. Excuse me. But what the fuck future information more do you need?